You may be unknowingly hindering your personal growth with a seemingly harmless act, sharing your private life with others. Each time you reveal your struggles, efforts to improve, or emotional pain, you think you're easing a burden, but in reality, you're reinforcing a fixed identity. You're retelling an old narrative with an unchanging conclusion. Then you live as though you are that narrative. Not everyone needs to know your challenges. Not everyone has the depth to understand. More crucially, not all deserve access to the most private parts of your life that you freely share in casual talks. To truly progress, start with silence. Don't broadcast every step you take. Don't mistake talking about change for actual change. Those who act quietly with purpose earn greater respect than those who speak much but do little. In this video, you'll learn how silence becomes a tool of strength, not a sign of fear. If this message stirs something in you, leave a comment below stating, "I am a Stoic practitioner." Share a time when silence helped you grow. Most importantly, subscribe to the channel to receive lessons that guide you to live with strength, clarity, and peace, quietly, yet with undeniable presence. The more you speak of your pain, the more you strengthen it. Have you seen someone scratch a wound not yet healed at first? It's a reaction to discomfort, but over time, it becomes a habit. If unchecked, the wound leaves a permanent scar. We treat mental pain similarly, not by scratching but by endlessly discussing it. We recount our hurts, relieve disappointments, and replay betrayals, failure, or shame until they're no longer just stories but roles we live out. The mind takes repetition seriously, as it's wired to find patterns. The more you talk about something, especially your pain, the more your mind accepts it as part of who you are. It's not just what happened, it becomes your identity. From there, your thoughts, actions, and relationships revolve around that story. You seek validation for your pain, and you'll find it. Once pain becomes your script, the world plays along. This is the subtle danger of oversharing, especially your deepest wounds. Every conversation turns into a stage, every friend an audience, and each retelling roots the story deeper in your mind. You think you're processing feelings, but you're practicing them. Practicing a stance of helplessness, you master the role of victim, not because you want to suffer, but because sharing brings fleeting relief. Yet relief isn't healing. Relief is avoidance. Healing is quiet reflection and gradual inner rebuilding. Healing starts when you stop giving pain power through words. The more you speak of it, the more you cling to it. The more you cling, the harder it is to release. Stoic philosophers grasped this long before modern psychology. They weren't emotionless. They simply conserved energy for what they could control, particularly when it involves revisiting old wounds. To Stoics, words were a precise instrument, used to bring clarity, not to indulge emotions. They built, not bled, for pain. They practiced a powerful form of restraint, not suppression, but redirection. Silence is not weakness. It is a deliberate strategy. Silence halts the mental turmoil and restores inner calm. Many today mistake openness for strength, believing that sharing pain shows courage. But true courage lies in facing discomfort quietly, not letting it shape who you are. It's allowing pain to exist without making it a public spectacle. This doesn't mean you must conceal everything. Choose carefully. Who to confide in, when, and why. Ask yourself, am I seeking help or just validation? Do I want to heal or just be heard? These are different paths. One moves you forward, the other keeps you stuck, wearing your pain like an unchosen badge. There is an inner strength that can only be built in silence. Those who practice this begin to change. They no longer feel the need to recount their pain because they no longer view themselves through the lens of suffering. They speak less. But when they do, their words carry weight. Their energy no longer drains through complaints or retellings. It builds up, becoming a quiet force that others sense without words. This is the strength of restraint in sharing sexted. It is the discipline of silence. This, whether called Stoicism or maturity, sets apart those trapped in old stories from those who overcome them. Second, transformation without an audience is more profound. Have you ever wondered, if no one sees my growth, is it real? That question reveals a deeper truth. We often believe progress must be witnessed to matter, yet the most enduring changes happen quietly, unseen. If no one notices your progress, does it lose value? The truth is, the strongest transformations occur in silence. You don't need spectators to become who you're meant to be. All you need is persistence, clear purpose, and the discipline to keep going without seeking applause. Today, we showcase everything. First workouts, new meditation habits, updated routines. The start becomes a performance. But what if you chose silence instead? What if you changed privately, without documenting, explaining, or seeking approval or praise? At first, it may feel strange, even isolating. We're used to drawing energy from others' reactions, likes, cheers, comments. But when it's just you and your efforts, you discover what's genuine. You feel the difference between performing for others and practicing for yourself. Deep, lasting change doesn't require recognition to thrive. It needs space to grow without judgment. It needs quiet to take root. Once it does, it radiates a silent strength that words cannot capture, transforming you in ways others will eventually notice. You don't need to proclaim your growth for it to be real. One day, others will notice it in your steady presence, calm demeanor, and the way you carry yourself, free from past burdens. That's the result of changing for yourself, not for others' reactions. I recall a friend who never spoke of his efforts. No bold announcements, no new year, new me claims. Yet, within months, his transformation was clear. He paused thoughtfully before speaking, listened attentively, and chose words with care. His calm gaze reflected inner strength. Later, I learned he had embraced daily meditation, journaling, and a break from digital distractions, all done quietly. His change didn't need a spotlight. It required only commitment. Now, he moves through life with a grounded confidence that can't be faked. The Stoics called this inner self-reliance, a strength built without fanfare. They valued transformation that needed no approval. Marcus Aurelius wrote his reflections not for fame, but to strengthen his mind and soul. Epictetus taught not to gain followers, but to live truth quietly, letting it shape you from within. This marks the difference between inner freedom and seeking approval. When your growth is private, it's yours alone. When it craves attention, it's fragile. Ask yourself, if no one knows what I'm working on, will I still continue? Will you rise early, read, strengthen your mind, and cultivate peace as a Stoic would, even without recognition? If yes, you've already succeeded. True change doesn't shout for attention. It grows steadily in quiet moments. It takes root day by day, becoming who you are, not a display, but a life lived fully. Let others share every step online. You don't need to follow. Your quiet progress is not falling behind. It's building strength. You're crafting a resilience that's hard to imitate and deeply authentic. When your growth no longer needs validation to feel real, it becomes lasting. Your energy, focused on becoming better, not explaining, fuels true transformation. That's when change becomes who you are. Then, no one needs to ask. If you've grown, they'll see it in your actions, your calm, your presence, all without a single word from you. Lasting change doesn't require a public display. In an age craving validation, we're conditioned to share every step, but growth thrives in quiet discipline, not loud declarations. To become stronger, calmer, and in control of your thoughts, embrace the practice of silent progress. Silence preserves your focus, channeling energy into transformation, not attention. Marcus Aurelius didn't write his thoughts to impress others. He wrote to anchor himself. He knew true growth isn't announced. It's lived daily through disciplined choices. The Stoics understood that sharing progress too soon weakens it, turning it into noise. They valued private commitment over public show. When your change is real, it doesn't need an announcement. Others will see it. But more importantly, you'll feel its truth. You'll notice it in how you respond thoughtfully. Let go of outcomes and maintain calm through discipline. This isn't for explaining, it's for living. So, when you're tempted to share your new goals or mindset, pause and reflect on your true purpose. Ask yourself, am I driven to act or to be seen? Do I seek progress or praise? These are distinct paths. One builds inner strength, the other chases fleeting approval. True change endures quietly, growing stronger without needing to be declared. By keeping your journey private and working steadily, your growth becomes unshakable. It stands firm without needing applause. Stoicism isn't about hiding, it's about honoring your path with focus, choosing quiet strength over distraction. The more you talk about your progress, the more fragile it becomes. But when you focus solely on building, not broadcasting, you create something enduring. Not everyone needs to know your inner changes when they're real. Others will sense them without words. You've likely met someone stuck in the same tale at a gathering, endlessly recounting an old job's unfairness, a relationship's unjust end, or a time they were overlooked. You've heard it before, and so have others. Yet they repeat it, hoping repetition heals. The problem isn't the pain of the story, it's that they live in it long after it's over. They're not just recalling the past, they're defining themselves by it. Each retelling strengthens that identity, anchoring them to a reality they carry forward. We all carry an inner narrative, sometimes subtle, sometimes loud, always present. It whispers, "I always fail," or "I'm not meant to succeed." We don't just share these with others, we rehearse them in our minds, shaping who we believe we are. Each repetition tightens the hold of an outdated self, like acting in a play where the stage and audience have moved on. Yet you cling to the old role. You play the part of failure, even as life offers new scenes. What you repeat shapes your beliefs. Those beliefs define who you allow yourself to become. The stories you tell about yourself aren't trivial, they're your blueprint. They guide your reactions, expectations, and willingness to try. If you keep narrating failure, you'll live as if failure defines you, not because that's who you are, but because your mind follows the script you give it. The Stoics recognized the power of self-talk. They didn't dwell on the past, knowing it can't be changed. What matters is the judgment you make now, the thoughts you choose today. Epictetus taught that it's not events that trouble us, but our judgments about them. If you judge yourself by old chapters, you'll never write new ones. To move forward, simply stop talking. Stop saying you're unlucky or always overlooked. Stop telling others you're not skilled in relationships, finances, or leadership. These aren't truths, they're cycles you restart with each retelling. Imagine holding a pen, but rereading the first page, instead of writing anew. Stoicism urges you to write the next chapter, not with grand gestures or forced optimism, but with a steady choice to stop repeating the story you no longer wish to live. When you stop telling it, you begin creating something new gradually, intentionally, through each deliberate word and action. When tempted to define yourself by past struggles, pause. Ask, is this who I am now, or just who I was? If it's the past, let it go. You owe no one that old tale. You owe yourself the chance to become someone who doesn't need it anymore. This is emotional clarity, where transformation begins. It comes not from more words, but from fewer. Not from defending the past, but from refusing to relive it. It's a quiet, deliberate choice, made step by step, to live differently. If no one praises your progress, will you keep going? This question reveals whether your growth is for you or for show. In a world obsessed with visibility, quiet self-improvement feels foreign. Yet, in that silence, your most powerful transformation takes root. True growth doesn't need an audience. It doesn't seek likes or comments. It requires authenticity. When you release toxic habits, emotional dependencies, or a past-defined self, not for applause, but for peace, that's when lasting change begins. You don't need to announce your journey of growth. No one needs to know you've started studying philosophy, exercising early, or reflecting nightly. What matters is your quiet, steadfast commitment to these actions, done for yourself, not for display. I knew a man who lost his way after a painful divorce. He didn't broadcast his struggles or his plans to recover. Instead, he quietly rebuilt boxing to regain strength, cooking to reconnect with life, reading philosophy to rediscover clear thinking. Months later, his change was evident not through words, but in his steady presence. His posture shifted, his demeanor grounded. It wasn't the activities themselves, but the quiet resolve to rebuild for his own sake that transformed him. This is the power of self-driven change. It carries a unique weight, rooted in stillness. When you stop seeking praise, your actions become true habits, not gestures. There's something profound in doing what's right, unseen by others. It shows you act from integrity, not for recognition. You choose values over visibility. Stoic philosophy teaches this, not loud declarations, but qui est conviction. Marcus Aurelius wrote for himself, not others, to stay true to his principles. His discipline needed no audience. His life embodied it. The lesson is clear when you act for yourself. It shows naturally, not through social media posts or grand gestures, but in your calm response to chaos and quiet confidence. Release the urge to share every detail. Let your growth stay private until it's strong enough to shine without words. This protects your inner peace and builds lasting maturity. If others notice, fine. If not, better. You're doing it for you. You act because an inner resolve drives you forward. This discipline shapes your true self, a strength no one can give or take away. Before sharing your progress, ask, is this for my growth or for others' eyes? If it's for you, keep it sacred. Let your growth deepen in silence. Trusting that real change doesn't need to be loud. It needs to be lived. Not everyone deserves to know your heart's journey. You've likely felt the sting of sharing deeply, only to receive a dismissive response, a shrug, a casual, "I've had it worse," or a blank look can make your vulnerability feel misplaced. That moment teaches a vital lesson. Not everyone is ready to hold your inner world. Silence becomes sacred when you see the value of guarding your heart. Our culture celebrates openness, viewing, sharing as a path to healing, often repeated as truth. Yet, there's a difference between confiding in someone who honors your truth and bearing your soul to those unprepared to receive it without judgment. Some, even those close to you, may not listen deeply, their own thoughts drowning out your words. When you push to be understood, explaining, repeating, hoping for connection, you often feel more isolated, not closer. I knew a man who, after therapy, found clarity after years of turmoil. One day, he shared a small victory from his healing with colleagues, a subtle shift he valued. Their responses a joke, a half smile, a quick subject change weren't cruel, but they signaled this wasn't the moment to share. That taught him the need for the right setting. Emotional depth requires a receptive space. Sharing in the wrong place diminishes its worth or invites dismissal. The Stoics didn't advocate eternal silence but urged caution. Epictetus taught to guard your peace, accepting that some cannot grasp your journey, not because they're unkind, but because they may not be ready or aware. Your truths, like seeds, need careful nurturing. Scattered on barren ground, they won't grow. Forced into talk, they may be overlooked before they can take root. Your inner world isn't public property, not a marketplace for all. You're not obligated to explain your healing, choices, or growth to those who haven't earned your trust. Sharing freely can sometimes undermine you, leaving you exposed and unheard. Emotional boundaries aren't walls to shut others out, they're filters to protect what's growing. Before opening up, ask, why share this? Is it trust in this person, or just a need to not feel alone? If it's the latter, write it down, reflect, and let it settle quietly. Not everyone deserves to hold your most tender truths. You owe yourself the care to reserve what's sacred for those who value it, not just those nearby or familiar. Protect your energy with resolve, choosing who walks with you on your path. Your strength lies in wisely choosing when to speak and to whom. When you stop needing others' understanding, you grow freely, uninterrupted. This freedom comes from discernment, not exposure, letting you listen to yourself. Above all, a unique exhaustion comes not from hard work, but from hearing endless promises of change that never materialize. You've heard it often. "I'll eat better now," or "I'm serious this time." The words carry conviction, yet weeks pass with no action. Over time, these empty promises lose their weight, not from ill intent, but from lack of follow-through. Words without action are like smoke without flame, suggesting change, but delivering none. Your quiet resolve can carry more power than unfulfilled vows. You don't need to proclaim your plans to make them real. No need to detail your changes or convince others of your commitment. Simply act, rise early, build habits in private, driven by an inner resolve that refuses to stay stagnant. When actions replace words, your life begins to transform. Think of someone you admire, not for what they say, but for how they live. Their change wasn't announced, yet it's evident in their calm presence, attentive listening, and quiet confidence. Their discipline isn't loud, but it radiates strength. No announcements, no fanfare, just the steady energy of someone who worked quietly without seeking praise. This presence commands respect, earned through silent dedication. The Stoics were unmoved by grand speeches. They lived with inner harmony, acting with purpose and speaking sparingly. Epictetus called empty words mere noise. Marcus Aurelius wrote to align with his values, not to impress others. He never declared his self-improvement. He lived it. The result wasn't a louder voice, but a stronger spirit. Talking too much about your plans or hopes drains energy from action, turning progress into a fleeting performance. Enduring change comes from quiet, consistent effort, valuable, even unseen. It's the work that feels true without applause. Building a resilient mindset, let your actions speak, not your words, and let results show your progress. If someone asks about your journey, offer a smile. You owe no one explanations. Your duty is to yourself to achieve results through action, not talk. Speak less, not to hide, but because you've outgrown the need to prove anything. Let daily choices build a foundation for your life. No need to shout or persuade. When your commitment is real, it shines through naturally, lasting long after words fade. This is the quiet strength of a principled life. In a world craving noise, choosing silent resolve is bold. Sharing struggles or goals too freely risks turning growth into a show. But living with quiet discipline shifts your focus from seeking approval to building lasting strength. You stop chasing others' approval and start embracing the strength of quiet growth. Stoicism teaches that true discipline, clarity, and self-control come from actions, not words. Focus on living fully, letting your deeds speak louder than any declaration. If this resonates, share your thoughts below. What have you stopped sharing to preserve your peace? What are you quietly building? Let us know. And please like this video and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom to guide your daily growth and transformation.